The final topics that we are going to discuss with the market analysis, because with the market analysis, we discuss about the demand supply equilibrium, and then we discuss about the elasticity. The final topic in the market analysis is the efficiency. So there, under efficiency, we are going to discuss two things mainly. That is price controls, which are called maximum prices and minimum prices. Very much important in explaining today's behavior of our market in Sri Lanka. The goods and services market in Sri Lanka with control price, right? So maybe ceilings, maybe floor prices, or maybe maximum or minimum. We will discuss them. And then what happens when we put a tax? Again, very much important in the Sri Lankan context. Why people are agitating. Right? So we will give some analysis, economic analysis to these problems. The one we do not discuss here is the externalities, but it was not in your syllabus, but I think we need to discuss. So I will have like 15 to 30 minutes discussion on externalities, right? But anyway, why we call it efficiency? Before getting into that discussion, I would like to get back to our discussion on equilibrium. We have something called P star and Q star in the equilibrium point, right? So we had price here, quantity here, we had demand here, and supply here. But in simple analysis, under market equilibrium, what we agreed? We agreed that excess demand and excess supply, this upward pressure and the downward pressure, finally bring our market into some kind of equilibrium, which is we call equilibrium when we had the P star as the equilibrium price and Q star as the equilibrium quantity. Then we said this is perfect. In economics, we call this as Pareto efficiency. Pareto efficiency is there. Pareto efficiency means we cannot change any other's happiness without sacrificing the existing happiness of some other people. If we are having two persons, X and Y, if we want to increase the happiness of Y, we have to decrease the happiness of X. Then we say there is a Pareto efficiency is there. If we can increase the happiness of Y by keeping the same level of happiness of X, or even increasing the happiness of X, then we call it as not Pareto efficiency. Still, we have the opportunity to have the Pareto efficiency, right? You don't want to worry about that. But in economics, we say this equilibrium is Pareto efficient. That everyone is happy. Can you remember consumer surplus and producer surplus? Right? When we are getting into equilibrium, we were having consumer surplus and producer surplus, which is the optimum. That is the optimum level of consumer surplus and producer surplus we can happy. If we get into equilibrium price and we had no any problem in the market, whatever supplied is sold. Whatever demanded in the market is supplied. We have no queues. We have no piled up stocks, throwing away stocks of any good or the service. That is what we discuss with the market analysis with the equilibrium. And I remember I raised the question, have you seen any queues, long queues like 1 kilometer that we are seeing today with petrol? Like 1 kilometer queues to buy rice. We didn't see, before the pandemic period, we didn't see any queues. Of course, now we are seeing, if you get into Satosa, of course, very long queues to buy rice. But before pandemic, there were no any queues to buy rice. And nobody was throwing away rice. Why it happened? I raised this question. It happened because of this equilibrium price. Exactly the amount that required in the city was supplied. Otherwise, prices will get changed. When there is shortage, price get increased. When there is an excess, price get decreased. So price automatically go up and down, and finally we get into the equilibrium, no problem in the society. Government intervention, of course, makes some problem. But in some cases, this is the case that we expected in theory, at least in microeconomics, right? But we do not agree with that because sometimes it will not happen. We have market failures, which also we discuss again, like externalities and non-competition. Because of that, we need the government intervention in the market. So what government does, it will use some market forces to change the price up and down and to change the quantity, increase or decrease. Then they try to, the government try to help the consumer. Or government is trying to help the producer with the objective of helping consumers and producers, or in the broader sense to the society. Government get intervened in the market. Right? So this government intervention is basically in the market happens with the price controls. We say price controls. So government control the price. We have a regulated price. We had this problem, a regulated price problem for many years, and we got away suddenly, making more troubles than we had. Right. Anyway, theoretically, let's try to learn the price ceilings, floor prices, and tax and externalities. Why we want to learn that? As I just mentioned, if we allow market to work freely, market will determine the equilibrium price and quantity, which is the optimum condition, but it won't happen because of market failures. In that case, government need to get intervened. The first scenario is the price controls, is the maximum price and minimum price. So we can start with the price ceiling. Right? One of the mechanism or the method of price control is called price ceiling in economics. You may have heard that. When we say price ceiling, it is a maximum price. Right? You may have seen maximum price of something, and government put that into news. Maximum price of petrol is 420. Maximum price of one loaf of bread is 250. Likewise, maximum prices comes with price ceiling in economics. What do we mean by a ceiling? Ceiling you can see, right? This is the ceiling. We cannot go above the ceiling. Ne? If we want to go above the ceiling, what we need to do? We have to break. If we break the ceiling, of course, there will be some punishment. You take the case with university. I know some of you are, because you are first years, you have no much idea. So we have E-block, and this E-block is taken by many students for their functions and events. So we usually allow. So you have the request, and we allow you to have the functions in E-block, the bigger one. Then what happens? Some students, they break the ceiling and put something, some decorations. And next day, when the administration come, they see that ceiling is broken. Then you will be having the punishment. Of course, you may not notice it. You will notice that when you are going to get your degree certificate. When you are going to get your degree certificate, of course, they will say, you have done this kind of a mistake. Of course, I had the same experience. When I wanted to get my degree certificate, when I went there, they said, you have like maybe 3,000 rupees punishment, but that's a lot in our time. 3,000 is a lot. So then I questioned, what's the reason? They said, you have break your door, which we did not have any key. You know, when we got the key, it does not have any use. In my university, right, during my time, it did not have any use of a key because we had the master key. Master key means the payphone card. Using a payphone card, you can open up any doors in the hostel. So therefore, nobody worried about the key. You get the key and put it somewhere. When you leave the hostel, you give it back. Other than that, we have never used that key, and we didn't notice that it is broken. It is a continuation. So my senior was punished, and then I also was punished. So likewise, you also will have the similar punishments if you do anything like breaking the ceiling. But the point which I wanted to highlight, you cannot break the ceiling. So if you break the ceiling, you need to have some punishment. In economics, when we say price ceiling also such that we have a ceiling to the price. The price can go up anywhere, and then there's a ceiling for the price. You cannot go above that. If you go above that, government will come and punish you. It's a government rule regulated by the government. So there will be a government gazette. So gazette will notify the suppliers. You cannot increase the price more than that. Therefore, we say price ceiling is for the benefit of the consumers. Government thinks that government need to get intervened in the market to help the consumers, because if we allow free market to operate, there will be some disadvantaged situation for the consumers. So government set the price. You see that with the maximum price, if you take any item in the market, you say, this is the maximum price. So yes, I have a white label bottle here. It says the maximum price is 1,600, maybe an older one, right? It says 1,600. That is the maximum price. No one can sell more than that. If anyone sells, they will come and taken by the government. So maximum price is the way how we get into the price ceiling. When we put the price ceiling, what happens in the market? When we are having a price ceiling, there will be an excess demand. Why? The objective of the government is to help the consumers. Therefore, regulated price should be less than the market price. If market price is 60, if you remember our example, if market price is 60, regulated price should be less than 60. If our objective is to help the consumers. Otherwise, no meaning. If you are putting a higher price than the equilibrium price, no meaning. You are not going to help the consumers, because consumers will buy that less than that. In fact, this government did in some cases. They set the price more than the market price, telling that we are going to help the consumers, which is redundant, right? There will be an excess demand in the market because you are setting price less than the equilibrium price. When you put the price less than the market price, there will be excess demand. When you are having an excess demand, there will be queues, like what you see today in the market. There are long queues to buy because prices are less than the equilibrium price. Demand and supply is not balanced. So we have to have rationing. Rationing is like you have the quota system. Like for petroleum, now they say 10,000 for a car, 2,000 for a motorbike or three-wheeler. Likewise, right? We have some quota, or first come, first serve. So there will be some way of rationing it, right? Whenever there is less supply in the market compared to demand, then it automatically generates the black market. If you take petrol, now you can buy, you have no petrol in the petrol sheds, but you can buy it from village with the higher price. This is called black market. If you take the example of foreign currency, government had the regulated price. Market price was somewhere around 250. But government regulated the foreign exchange price as 200 rupees per $1. So what happened? We had a huge black market where people buy and sell because market demand is so high, whereas supply is very less. So automatically it generated the market. So we will see what will happen, this kind of a, what will happen in the market if we apply this kind of a policy. Finally, discussing the effective price ceiling. To discuss that, I am using our usual demand and supply curve. Right, so we are having our usual demand and supply curve with the equilibrium price 60, then quantity 2,000. Now, assume As we discussed previously, if we allow market to work freely, this 60 rupee is not good for the consumers. That's the government belief. Maybe because real economic reasons like decrease in income due to a situation like pandemic or some political gain. Anyway, government thinks that equilibrium price should be less than this. Therefore, what government does? Government set a price which is called regulated price as 40 rupee. This is the case. It is like 250 per $1 in Sri Lanka, but government control that 200. The case is like this. Right? Market price, the equilibrium price is around 250 given the demand and supply, but government decided to have it at 200. Then what happens? When the regulated price is less than the market price, of course, supply will decrease. If we allow market to work freely, supply could have been $2,000 in the market. But now it is 1,000. People will use different ways, this Hawala system or any other. Right? So thereby they decrease the supply, whatever the way. So they decrease the supply to 1,000. But what happens to the market demand? you are controlling the market price, which is less than the equilibrium. So people demand more. In our case, they demand $3,000 because government figure is 200. So it's better to buy more. So people demand more, whereas supply get decreased. So we are having excess demand. In this case, we are having 2,000 units demanded in excess. If you put this into the foreign currency, we are having $2,000 demanded in excess. Now what to do? Supply is decreased, demand is increased, we are having excess demand. So what we do, we put first come, first serve. That is what government did. Those who are coming into bank today give the money, and next day we'll say, okay, 3 weeks later, after 3 weeks, they will say 6 months later, and so and so. That you are keeping in a queue. Or you can have a rationing. You can, set the priorities, and then 50% is for energy, and 10% for health, and the 40% for food. Likewise, we have some rationing of the dollars. So that's exactly what happened in Sri Lanka. But the problem, can we keep this in the long run? For 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you will be doing this. And the government did that. Then what happened? Some people, those who are having higher utility, because now the market price is 40, supply is 1,000. Some who are here, like those who wanted to go abroad, like our politicians, so what they did, they had higher utility. They were willing to pay like 90, whereas government regulated price is 40. If you take the dollar case, they were willing to pay like 300. So what they did, they approached the suppliers with this 1,000 and said, okay, not 200 $1, I am paying 300 per $1. Please give it to me. So the suppliers gave that to the consumers. So finally, what happened? You ended up at this point. Maybe I put my. You ended up this point at P1. So the regulated price was 40, but depending on the willingness to pay, we finally got up to 80. So market price was 60. Now the market price is 80. Exactly, this is what happened in our foreign exchange market. Government controlled the price at 200, whereas equilibrium price was around 250. Now where we stop? We stop at 350, 60, 70, and very soon we are going to 400. That happens because of the price control. If we allow market to work freely, dollar rate may have definitely stayed somewhere around 300, at least maximum. The expectation was like 260, but it can go maximum up to 300. But what happened? Because of the control, it went up to 400. So it is because of this. You had excess demand. When you have excess demand, automatically that generates the black market price. So this is the regulated price. In the Sri Lankan case, $200 is the regulated price, but black market price was 360. And of course, now let's end up the discussion there with the Sri Lankan case, because then government opened up. You made more troubles than you had by opening up. It is another thing that we need to discuss. I think I discussed in the classroom in that lecture. Later we will discuss if you want. But here what happened, there will be a black market. Then our objective was to help the consumer by putting a lesser price. Have we been able to do that? Of course not. Right now market price is higher than that, quantity has decreased. So what to do? This is called effective price ceiling. Whenever you put the price ceiling, you need to make it to be effective. Let's say this is about sugar. Government reduced the sugar price to help the consumers. Then there was excess demand, like 2,000 kilos. Then to make it effective, what should government do? Government should import some sugar from foreign countries. This is the local supply. Local supply is 1,000 units. Then these 2,000 units should be supplied by the government into the market, maybe by imports or maybe by putting out its own stocks. If government is having any stocks, it can put it out. Then you can retain the 40 because now supply goes up here. No issue, market price will be 40. Suppliers will supply up to 1,000 and government will supply up to 3,000, putting 2,000 units in the market. That happened in some cases, like rice price. If you remember, when we had the control rice price somewhere around 100 rupee, some 2 years ago, government did the same thing. Market equilibrium price was like 150. So what government did, it imported rice and put in the market. Thereby, government controlled the rice price. Right. But in foreign exchange case, government couldn't do that because it had no reserve. Foreign reserve, to put that in market, there was excess demand of $2,000. So government should put that $2,000 in the market, but government had no money at all in their pocket. So government couldn't do that. So the price ceiling was not effective. They couldn't control the exchange rate at 200. So what they did, they allow market to work freely. So that is what government did. Anyway, the gist of price ceiling is that we set the price ceiling for the benefit of the consumers. So it should be less than the equilibrium price. Definitely there will be an excess demand. With the excess demand, there will be a black market. If we want to really keep the regulated price, which we call effective price ceiling, you need to import and put that in the market. If you import and put that in the market, of course, it will be an effective price ceiling. Whenever we set the price ceiling, we need to make it effective. If we do it, we can get the benefit of the consumer. Of course, when we do that, there is some loss of welfare. Right? Whenever we do that, we are having some loss of the welfare to the society. If it is taken by the consumers, that is good. If it is taken by the producers, it is good. But because of price ceiling, there will be a loss of welfare, which is a loss to the society, right? Which is called dead weight loss in economics. We call it as dead weight loss. So whenever we put a price ceiling, we have a dead weight loss. So this part, in the second half, what we tried to understand some of the government intervention in the market and see what happens. So there we said that there are several major interventions from the government because of the market failures to help the consumers and the producers, like price ceiling, floor prices, tax, and subsidies, and so on. Right? From that, we started with the price ceiling. Price ceiling is kind of a boundary. We cannot go on top of that. So that is the limit. So price ceiling is the limit where price can go up. So it's a government rule. If you go above that, government will punish. But it will not happen because black market will start. In Sri Lankan case today, wherever you have a control price system, we have a black market. Take it cement, take it petrol, diesel, or kerosene, whatever, even rice. Whenever government try to control the price, we come up with the black market. Then to solve the black market problem, we need to increase the supply. But if you can increase the supply, of course, then we can make a effective price ceiling helping the consumer.